Welcome to This Organized Life. If you're a mom, wife, or coffee lover seeking advice on how to reduce clutter and reclaim time, look no further than your host, Lori Palau, founder of Simply Be Organized and author of Hot Mess, a practical guide to getting organized. For a lot of people, clutter is their dirty little secret, but it doesn't have to be. Each week, we will share practical tips, chat with experts, and provide strategies on how to keep you organized. I hope that by sharing our stories, you feel a little less alone and more empowered to tackle the areas that are holding you back. So let's get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life podcast. I'm your host, Lori Palau, and we are doing a new segment called our This Organized Life Shorts. And in our shorts, we're going to be interviewing some experts and people in our community that are passionate about a specific topic, specifically in the world of organizing and decluttering. And we're just going to learn a little bit about it and kind of give us another perspective of how we can think about things, our behaviors and our actions and what we're doing, and how we can really be not just wise consumers of things, but also just be good stewards of our stuff and our space. And to kick off this new kind of series that we're working on is one of our SBO partners, Lynn O'Meara. And Lynn's been on our show before. She's based in Chicago. And she had approached me not too long ago saying that she's been doing some work around fast fashion. And I know there's a lot of buzz about fast fashion and really the impact that it has on our environment, the impact that it has in society, and the impact that it has with our stuff and clutter. And so I said, yes, I would love to kind of dig deep into this conversation. And this is something that you've been working on. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my friend Lynn back to the show to talk all about this hot topic of fast fashion. So welcome, Lynn.
Hi, Lori. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to discuss this topic.
Excuse me. Me too. So just before we get into the thick of things, just tell our listeners a little bit about who you are. I know that you've been on our show before, but just for any of our new listeners, why don't you give a little bit of insight into what you do and who you are?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I am part of the SBO Partner Program, and I have my own organizing business called LM Organizing. And I like to think of myself as an expert in perhaps emotional clutter. As I mentioned in the last podcast, I do have some firsthand experience with people that have suffered and are still suffering with clutter and having issues getting rid of it or parting with it. So I feel with that firsthand knowledge, I really am able to help my clients, especially if it is something that we have to dive into. And a lot of the reasons why they have too many items, whether it be in their closet, pantry, kitchen, is because they're emotionally attached to it, especially if it's been given to them from a great-great-grandmother, grandfather, or whatnot, just to help them know that it's okay to get rid of it. So that's how I approach my organizing with my clients.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then, I'm curious to know, like, your kind of what prompted you to go down the rabbit hole, right? Because I think there's so many different layers of, where people get, what piques their interest when it comes to the decluttering or, how we're shopping or buying or what we're doing or not doing. And this is a really interesting topic. And so I guess just to kind of, for people that are just brand new, why don't you just give an overview of what exactly is what we're talking about when it comes to fast fashion, and then just give a little bit of insight into like how you got drawn into this.
So yes, so fast fashion is any items, particularly clothing, where it is marketed to you to buy, and it's to buy it all the time over and over again. And it's also most likely cheaply and inexpensively made. So you're able to purchase these items over and over again. Some examples of fast fashion items, and I'm not going to give names, but if it's if it's a brand that sends you emails saying get 40% off, there's a certain time frame, or there's new items added every week, anything to get them either to have you go to their website or go to their store to purchase more products. And they want you to not keep those products. They want you to keep buying them over and over again. Back probably, 10 years ago, we used to have probably, depending on where you live, 3 seasons, like winter, fall, well, I should say 4, winter, fall, spring, summer, right? And then we had those particular clothes gauged for that particular season. Like I said, I'm in the Midwest, so we do have usually, 4 seasons. It varies, but now things are just, there's no really any seasons, because these brands and manufacturers want you to buy over and over again. Now, why is that bad? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good sale. I love a good discount, which kind of got me to be thinking about this. Is like, I just remember, there were sales, like there were certain times for sales. It was like, the day after Thanksgiving, there was huge sales. Then it was like January, there were huge sales. Now I think we all notice everything is on sale at some point. If you see it in a store, I guarantee you, if you go back 3 days, at least a week later, that item or items around it will be discounted in some manner. That is just because they want you to buy, the manufacturers, the brands want you to buy it over and over again. So how I got involved is I always like to, keep myself informed on ways to help clients maybe not have so many items. If I do go in and declutter their closet, just to help them have what they want and not keep buying things. So I was getting some information from our local library about fast fashion. And I was like, okay, what is that? I mean, I've kind of heard that, but I don't know exactly what that is. And I want to know more. So then that's a topic that I can bring up to my clients or send them information about. So after listening to the podcast, I did my own research, and I always knew that probably the amount of clothing that I myself have or able to purchase, it was too good to be true, right? There's got to be something behind it. So I did some research, and I encourage everyone to do this. Some of the facts that I found out about our clothing, and these are I just want to touch on like three main points. There's so many others, but let's first talk about and think about who makes our clothing. 9 times out of 10, it's in another country that is trying to, that's trying to develop. The working conditions are not good. They're very unsafe. The workers work very long hours, and a lot of times they're not even at minimum wage, way below. So that's the first thing you have to think about, is how are manufacturers and brands able to get these products out as fast as they can? It's because they have to have workers to deliver it. And so you have to think about that. That's the first thing that, I knew that, but it made me think more and do more research about that. Then let's talk a little bit about the environmental factors. And these are just basically 3. There's so many. I found, and I know this is hard to believe, but it takes 1,800 gallons of water to produce the cotton to make 1 pair of jeans, which I found unbelievable.
I'm just taking down notes. If anyone's, as you're watching this, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm just taking notes. Yeah.
The math, just to put it in perspective as what that amount is, and that's from growing the cotton, producing it, getting it to that pair of jeans. So, if you do the math, 16 cups of water times 1,800, that's 28,800 cups of water to make 1 pair of jeans. Which I find, that's a lot, that's a lot.
It's a big number for sure.
The other thing that a lot of these fast fashion clothing have is they're made of a lot of materials like polyester, nylon, acrylic, and a lot of other names that I can't even pronounce. And when you wash those clothing, they produce what's called microplastics, which are teeny tiny little pieces of plastic. And another statistic is washing, it produces, I'm trying to think of the number, because again, it's a crazy number, but it's like washing, it produces about 500,000 pounds of microplastics that go into the ocean a year. And that is, I want to make sure I get this fact right. That is about 5 billion with a B plastic bottles.
Wow.
Yes. And they're hard to capture because of the size. So it just, after hearing all this information, it just made me think like, I need to personally take a look about how I'm purchasing my products, what I'm doing. And also just discuss this with my clients, not maybe go into the statistics, but just maybe have them rethink, primarily their closet, which I've been trying to do. What my mission is when I am working with clients is to encourage them to shop their closets. Mm-hmm. Because I have worked with quite a few clients that as we're purging through their closets, they find items that they're like, oh my gosh, I was wondering where that was, or oh my gosh, I love that dress and I haven't worn it in so long. Why am I not wearing it? Just because that helps your carbon footprint with not purchasing new clothes. Or again, I always love to get something new for spring or summer. Just take a step back and think about, do you really need it? Or maybe pick another piece out of your closet that you love and find maybe a new updated piece to go with it, like a new shirt that might be in a different color. The colors change every season, but just take a step back and think a little bit before you purchase that new product. Or again, buy a new pair of shoes for summer that will go with multiple outfits in your closet versus just one outfit.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up some really good points. And we just
so I've just been it's just like I said, the statistics about what clothing does to the environment and the workers that do produce the products, it's pretty amazing and eye-opening on so many levels.
Yeah. And we just actually did an episode with Tracy McCubbin, and we were talking all about kind of buying habits just in general, and the kind of the emotional component, because I think we oftentimes underestimate that our consumption is driven a lot of times from an emotional desire, either a vacancy, whether we're bored, whether we're angry, whether, we talk about the term retail therapy, we throw it out there. And again, I'm not advocating people shouldn't go shopping. My best friend owns a clothing store, so I'm not saying that. However, I think it is really important to think about the impact of not just your own closet of buying all of these things, but then what happens to this stuff when you no longer want it or it's falling apart or whatnot. And so I think it's just interesting when we kind of are thinking about something like beyond that immediate dopamine hit of, oh, I just saw this and it's inexpensive and I want to buy it. Because I think that, and that's a lot of what we talked about in that last episode, which I think, again, we'll link up to that. I guess my question is, what has been the feedback from your clients? Because obviously, whenever we identify a problem somewhere in, something that we are passionate about, and then we become basically advocates for this, whatever it is, we have that desire to change. We have that impetus to make a difference and be really intentional. How has this been received with your clients? Because they're just like, you know what? I really, I want a new pair of whatever. And again, you talk about the fact that we're constantly being marketed to by brands, whether it's through social media, through just Google ads, through emails that come in, we're constantly being bombarded, and that's their job. Like, let's be honest, right? Like that is their job, to market and sell their products. That's what they're doing. And they're utilizing technology to be able to target us. I mean, that's what it is. So what are your clients, how are they addressing this in their own life?
Well, when I meet with them, for example, a lot of times they'll be going through their closet and they'll find some items that have the tags on them and they feel, really bad, myself included. I'm like, why did I buy that? And I just try to say to them, and I talk to them about maybe, try to shop your closet a little bit more. And I always just say, you know what? You can't return it. You can't go back and, not purchase it. But moving forward, just try to not do the same, not mistake, but just try to change that habit. Only buy clothes that you love, not that you kind of like, or yeah, I might wear that. It's clothes that you love and that when you put them on, you're like, I love this. And if you don't, then take it back, because then you can find something else that you love. Also, I encourage them to wear things more than one time. I find that 9 times out of 10, people don't remember what you wore. You might remember it or not. And what else would a little secret I do is I remember that just because, like, what I wear 9 times out of 10, because that's how my brain works. Just don't wear it with, if you go to a party with a certain group of people, then wear it to a party where people haven't seen you in it. Again, even if you run across people that might have seen you wear it, they're not going to remember. They don't really, I can barely remember what happened like a day ago. No one is going to remember what you wore, or like change it up a little bit. Put on a new pair of shoes with it, put on a new necklace or accessories. There's ways to change up a dress or a shirt without having to purchase a whole new outfit. So again, I'm not trying to like judge people or shame them or whatever like that, because I'm guilty of it as well. I'm sure that I have probably at least five, if not more, items in my closet that have tags on them that I just thought, oh, I'm going to wear it at some point. I don't love them, but I'm hoping that eventually there'll be a time to wear it. So I just say, try to change your habits. Also try, if possible, try to buy items secondhand. There are so many websites out there online that resell items with tags on, and it's amazing what you can find out there. Some are high end, some are mid-range, but if you really want a certain pair of shoes or you're looking for a new handbag, try those online places first, so at least it's giving an item new life or prolonged life.
I love it. And then again, I feel like for a lot of people, it comes down to that quality versus quantity conversation, where there are just some people that like options, right? They like to be able to have a lot of variety to choose from. And we know that things are expensive. And if they can find an inexpensive fill in the blank, they might buy it in several colors. And I think it's just a mentality of like, oh, if I could buy 5 shirts for $100 versus 1 shirt for $100, I'm going to buy 5 because I'm getting more for my money, so to speak, even if it means compromised quality, not sustainability, blah, 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 blah. Like all of those things, a lot of people aren't like, they're like, that's not what I'm thinking of, And so I guess I love what you're saying. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate for the listener out there that might be saying, I'm trying to figure out how to get the greatest value for my money.
True. And that is a very valid point. What I have found is that the items that you can buy like a mass amount, the quality is not great. You might be able to wear it once. You might be able to wear it maybe twice. I mean, sometimes if you send it to, a dry cleaner, it shrinks. It doesn't fit. You just need to like I said, you just need to maybe think about it. I mean, just take the time to think about it and maybe not purchase 5 shirts, maybe just purchase one at that price. And then have that journey by yourself to decide, is it worth it? Because you could buy, at the end of the day, you might be spending more money on those inexpensive items versus one nice piece that might last you for 2, 3, 4 years. So that's what I would say to that, is just, you have to think about it and make some decisions and decide for yourself.
So I guess for our listeners, to just give them some takeaways, and you've given some like great things to think about, because again, we're not just talking about the tactical side of decluttering. You're really talking about the environmental impact, the bigger kind of like mission behind consumption and where is your stuff going. And I love that, because I think it just gets people thinking about their stuff in a different way. Are there any specific places that you recommend people do shop? Like, are there any specific, whether it's websites or stores, that these particular retailers are?
Yes. So I'm still doing research as far as like online and, in store, where the clothing is primarily recycled. So I don't know specifically. The one that I could say that's probably very good at it is Patagonia. They also have a program that if it's wear worn, and if you have Patagonia or whatever Patagonia clothing item, you can send it back to them and they will, go through it. And if they approve it or accept it, they will give you a 50% credit to either buy something on like their resale website or store credit for a new item. And again, if you go out there, a lot of these items are brand new because, people might wear it once and then they decide they don't like it, or they, if it's kids clothing or whatever, they might outgrow it and they only wear it one time, or they don't wear it at all because they grow and the seasons have changed. So that's a great one. And then as far as resale, there's Poshmark, there's The Real, there's the Thread Up, there's swap.com. There's a lot of online retail for resale items. Also, I would encourage you to look into your local neighborhood. I mean, I know where I live, there's probably 2 or 3 consignment stores. That's another great option. Or, another option is, if you do want to purchase something new, shop locally. At least then it's staying in the community and you might have a better understanding, or can talk to those people at the store and find out where the clothes are coming from, where they're made, how they're made, things like that. So again, and I do want to say that I understand it. I get it. I love when the seasons change. I went into a store and the colors are bright and everything is new and it's fresh. And I'm like, winter in Illinois is horrible. And I'm like, bring them on. And I'm like, okay, breathe.
Yeah.
Back. Let's look in your closet. What is like a piece that you need or not need? I have been trying, I think I said before, I have been trying to practice what I preach. I'm trying really, really hard to shop my closet and be mindful of, if I do need a new piece of clothing to maybe add or update it, I actually will bring the outfit with me. So if for example, if I have a favorite pair of pants and I want to add like a new spring color to go with it, I will bring the pants with me into the changing room. So I know right then and there that it is going to work. Before, you bring it home, you don't like it when you get into your own lighting, your own mirrors, and then it sits in the bag and then you forget about it and then, can't return it anymore. And then you're stuck with it. And then what do you do with it? You know, a lot of times you're like, why did I purchase that? No, just don't do it. Just move on, forget about it. You can't change it. And just try to think and be more mindful the next time you do purchase.
I love it. And I think that really, if somebody's looking for, if they're watching or listening and they're just thinking of a great place to start, I think it should start with inventorying your current closet, right? Just like take a long, hard look at what do I have here? What no longer fits me, you know, for good or bad, you know, what is out of style? What am I just not going to wear because it's uncomfortable or whatever it is? Or I used to like it and now I don't, or it's just overly worn, whatever. So just take inventory. And also, if I can add, I think for most of us, we have like, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like everyone's got their own kind of sort of personal brand of things that they gravitate to. And we've done episodes on that before as well about kind of your personal brand style. Like, you know, if there's a certain particular, you know, like I love waffle shirts in the winter. So like I've got a bunch of different waffle shirts. So whenever I will, you know, go into a store or look online, I'm like, that's kind of what I go to. Somebody else, it might be, I don't know, flowy shirts. So I think you start to see these patterns, but it all starts with just being intentional and realizing like, wow, I've got a bunch that look like this, or I like a particular color and like how many, you know, teal shirts do I need or whatever the color is, do you know? So I think just again, I love what you're saying because it all has to do with being intentional with your money, intentional with your stuff, and intentional about like the greater impact that you're having, not just of your own space, but just how it's affecting, like you said, the environment, other cultures, all of the things.
Absolutely.
So I love it. Lynn, thank you so much for coming on and for, you know, sharing this knowledge with us, because again, it's stuff that sometimes we take for granted that people know, and they really don't, you know, or they don't realize the impact of what their buying habits are when you just, you know, click on an Instagram ad and, you know, what that really translates to. So I appreciate you coming in and sharing that.
Thanks so much for having me.
Tell our listeners before we leave, where can they find you if they want to connect up, learn more?
Absolutely. So I am on Instagram and my Instagram is LMorganizing1.
Awesome. And we will link up to all things Lynn in our show notes. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed this new short series that we're doing. And we'll be back with another episode of This Organized Life podcast next week. I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simply the letter B like boy organized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.